All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to tackle an idea that you've probably heard a million times. It sounds like this amazing compliment, right? But what if it's actually a cage? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard some version of this. It's always said with this deep admiration, this reverence even. The intention is to honor and uplift, to put women right at the very center of everything. And look, on the surface, it's a beautiful thought. Who wouldn't want to hear that? But the Arreqqana tradition, which is our guide for this explainer, sees a hidden trap in this kind of praise. So we're going to dig in and take a much closer look. Okay, so to really get why this is a trap, we have to kind of rewire how we think about power. The Arreqa framework tells us to stop thinking about power as who someone is, as an identity, and start thinking about what a role does. It's all about the function, not the person. All right, first up is something called circle power. This is the energy that holds everything together, the thing that creates stability. You can think of it as the glue, the thing that keeps a family or a team or even a whole company running smoothly. It's all about continuity and care. Next, we've got line power. This is all about action. It's about getting things done, making the tough calls, and executing a plan. It's the force that pushes forward, that protects the boundaries, and gives that clear direction when things get messy. And then finally, there's spiral power. And this one is so important. This is the power of transformation, of healing, of adapting. It's what allows a group to take in new information, to grow, and to change without completely falling apart. So here's the deal. For any group to be healthy, these three things, circle, line, and spiral, have to be in balance. And the rules are super clear. These are roles, not identities. They don't belong to any one gender, and, this is key, they have to be rotated with consent. You can show reverence, sure, but the moment that reverence removes someone's choice, you've got a problem. Okay, so what happens when we ignore these rules? What happens when we say, hey, you're in charge of circle power, forever, and just leave it there? Well, that's when we get into the real danger of pedestals. The Arreqqana tradition has a specific word for this, pedestalization. And they don't mess around. They see it as a form of harm, a kind of soft violence. Even if you mean it as a compliment, the act of putting someone on a pedestal, well, it can be a prison. And this right here, this just lays it all out. On one side, you've got the ideal, right? You're honored. You're the one holding everything together. But then, look at the reality. Burnout, total exhaustion, that silent pressure to always be the glue, to mediate every conflict, which means you're never allowed to be angry yourself. That is the cage of pedestalization. It really all comes down to this single powerful idea. What you crown, you confine. The second you make someone a symbol, the ruler, the circle of power, you trap them. You take away their freedom to be a full person who might also want to take charge, make a decision, or, just stop. All right, so if putting people on pedestals is the problem, how do we fix it? How do we build something healthier, something more balanced, where all three of these powers can actually work together the way they're supposed to?
This chart is so telling. It shows exactly what goes wrong when one of these powers gets isolated. Look at this. Circle power without any line power to back it up. That's all care with no boundaries. And boom, you get burnout and resentment. Flip it around, line without circle, all action and no care, and you get domination, you get harm. And spiral power all by itself with no structure, just chaos.
So the fix, well, it's an active process. It's not passive. It starts by just saying it out loud, naming the overload. Then you have to consciously share the other roles. You actively ask the person who's drowning in circle duties to step up and make some line power decisions. You bring in the spiral by making it okay to rest, to change, to renegotiate. The whole goal is to make rotation feel normal, not like a crisis. Okay, so with all that in mind, let's find a better way to talk about this. A more powerful truth that goes way beyond that simplistic idea of ruling the universe. And this is such a key distinction. It's about seeing that women often carry circular skills, not a circular destiny. We can absolutely admire those skills, things like empathy, mediation, incredible strengths, without turning them into some kind of mandatory biological life sentence. It's a skill set, not a cage. I love this idea. It just completely reframes everything. The universe is not ruled. It is braided. Think about that. Instead of some top-down pyramid with a ruler at the top, you have a braid. Every single strand is different, but every single one is essential to the strength of the whole thing. It's not about dominance, it's about weaving things together. And that's really the big takeaway here. The goal isn't just to flip the script, right? To replace one kind of dominance with another. That just keeps the imbalance going. True harmony, real stability, that only comes from balance and rotation. So we'll leave you with this powerful mantra, something you can actually use in your own life. Honor the circle, share the line, return through the spiral. Acknowledge the power of care, but don't let one person get stuck with it. Share the responsibility of action, and always, always make space for change and renewal. That's how we can start to build healthier families, better teams, and stronger communities.